Jake was not just any bounty hunter. He was a legend in the underworld. With sharp blue eyes that missed nothing and a quiet intensity, he moved through crowds like a shadow, unseen yet always aware. He had made a name for himself by capturing even the craftiest criminals, those who slipped through fingers like sand. His rugged face, framed by dark hair, told tales of tough encounters and narrow escapes. In the dim light of his office cluttered with wanted posters and coffee stains, Jake carefully examined a new case file. It was marked with the name Marcus Gray, a figure whispering fear into the hearts of many. Rumor had it that Marcus was not just any fugitive. He was connected to something much darker, a history that could entwine with Jake's own. Bounty hunting wasn't merely a job for Jake. It was his way of redefining himself after a painful past. He had lost much along the way but gained skills that would test his limits. Yet, despite the chase and thrill, there lingered an emptiness within him, a question he dared not voice. As he prepared to take on this new assignment, Jake felt the familiar rush of adrenaline mixed with unease. He knew this target could lead him down paths he thought long behind him. Perhaps catching this shadow would bring closure or, instead, drag him into a confrontation with ghosts he wasn't ready to face. And so, he laced up his boots, ready to step out into the night once again, chasing a shadow that might reveal more than just another criminal. It might reveal his very soul. Jake sat at his desk, the case file on Marcus Gray laid open before him. The name alone sent a shiver down his spine, activating memories he had tried to bury. As he traced the edges of the worn paper, snippets of conversations and whispers about Marcus echoed in his mind. Everyone spoke of him as a ghost, a talented thief who had left a trail of chaos behind him. The assignment came through an old contact, a grizzled informant named Tom who had seen his fair share of trouble. "You need to know this isn't just about the money, Jake," Tom had warned over their last drink. "This one's personal." Jake hadn't needed to ask why. He already felt the weight of that truth pressing down on him. Marcus was more than just a fugitive. He was tied to a chapter in Jake's life filled with shadows and regrets. It wasn't just about bringing in another criminal. It was about facing what happened years ago. Moments that still haunted him late at night, when silence enveloped his thoughts. As darkness settled outside, Jake gathered his gear with an urgency fueled by uncertainty. His heart raced not just from the thrill of the hunt but from the fear of what he might uncover about himself along the way. He knew that capturing Marcus could unravel secrets he had kept locked away for too long, and yet a part of him yearned for that confrontation, hoping it would finally lay his past to rest. With determination in his eyes, he stepped into the night, ready to chase not only a shadow but perhaps also his own redemption. The night air was thick with tension as Jake moved through the city, his senses heightened. He followed the trail of Marcus Gray, piecing together clues that felt like breadcrumbs leading to a dark forest. Each shadow seemed alive, whispering secrets as he navigated alleyways and dimly lit streets. His first stop was a seedy bar known for attracting all kinds of trouble. The smell of stale beer mixed with smoke hung heavy in the air as he scanned the room. Jake approached the bartender, a wiry man with a wary eye. After a few tense moments, he secured information about Marcus's last sighting, a warehouse on the outskirts of town. As he drove toward the location, Jake's mind raced with what lay ahead. He couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked around every corner. Upon arriving, he spotted movement inside the dilapidated building and crouched low, listening intently. The sound of muffled voices reached his ears, and adrenaline surged through him. He was close. With every step into the shadows of the warehouse, Jake felt both excitement and dread. The atmosphere was electric, charged with the unknown. Suddenly, a figure darted past him. It was Marcus. Heart pounding, Jake sprang into action but quickly found himself in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Navigating through crates and debris, he had to rely on all his skills, stealth, speed, and instinct, to close the gap. Each moment tested his resolve as he realized that this chase was more than just a job. It was a reckoning with his own past and what it meant to finally face the shadows that had haunted him for so long. As Jake raced through the dimly lit warehouse, The echoes of his hurried footsteps seemed to trigger memories that flickered like old film reels in his mind. Suddenly, he was not just a bounty hunter chasing a fugitive. He was a young boy again, standing in a small living room filled with shadows cast by flickering candles. His father's laughter mixed with the smell of home-cooked meals brought warmth but also a sense of longing. He remembered how his father would tell stories of bravery, sharing tales of adventure and heroism. "Always stand up for what's right," his father had said. But those teachings had been shattered when tragedy struck, altering the course of Jake's life forever. In that moment of memory, Jake felt the weight of loss and regret, realizing why he had chosen this dangerous path, to find a sense of justice for himself and others like him. As he rounded a corner in the warehouse, another flashback hit him hard. His mother crying softly on the couch, clutching a picture frame. The picture was of their family before it all fell apart, the laughter replaced by silence. That moment had ignited something deep within him, pushing him toward this solitary life as a bounty hunter. Just then, Jake spotted Marcus slipping through a door at the far end. Adrenaline surged again as he shook off the haunting memories and focused on the chase ahead. Each step felt charged with purpose. Catching Marcus now meant not just confronting the fugitive but also reclaiming pieces of his own shattered past. As Jake continued his pursuit of Marcus, he heard a rustling sound from behind a stack of crates. Instinctively, he turned, ready to confront whatever threat might lurk in the shadows. To his surprise, a young woman emerged, her eyes wide with both fear and determination. "You're looking for Marcus, aren't you?" she asked breathlessly. Jake studied her closely. She was in her early 20s, with dark hair pulled back into a messy ponytail and clothes that suggested she had been living on the streets for some time. "Who are you?" he demanded, feeling the tension in the air. "I'm Lily," she replied quickly. "I know where he's going. I can help you." Jake hesitated, unsure if he could trust her. But as she spoke, there was an urgency in her voice that caught his attention. "I've seen things you don't know about him." Reluctantly, Jake decided to hear her out. They found a quiet corner of the warehouse to talk, and Lily shared what she knew about Marcus. His connections to dangerous people and how he was trying to protect something, or someone, of great importance. The more she revealed, the clearer it became that Marcus was not just a typical fugitive. He was entangled in something much deeper than Jake had anticipated. As they strategized together, Jake felt an unexpected alliance forming between them. With Lily's insight and knowledge about Marcus, he realized they could combine their strengths. This partnership might be the key not only to capturing Marcus but also to unlocking truths that had eluded him for years. With Lily by his side, Jake approached the entrance of the abandoned warehouse, its rotting wooden beams and shattered windows casting eerie shadows in the moonlight. The air was thick with tension, each step echoing their shared urgency. They had tracked Marcus to this very place, and Jake's heart raced with anticipation for what lay ahead. As they moved deeper into the dimly lit structure, Lily whispered details about Marcus's past, revealing connections to a life once entwined with Jake's own. "He didn't choose this life," she urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's hiding from something much darker." Jake felt a surge of conflicting emotions. He needed to confront Marcus but also wanted to understand him. Suddenly, they spotted Marcus standing near a flickering light bulb, his back turned and silhouetted against the wall. "Marcus!" Jake shouted, his voice reverberating through the empty space. The fugitive spun around, surprise etched on his face as he locked eyes with Jake. A heavy silence enveloped them before Marcus spoke. "You shouldn't have come here," he warned, his tone laced with both anger and fear. Time seemed to freeze as memories flooded back, shared moments from a distant past that Jake had long wished to forget. "Why did you leave?" Jake demanded, stepping closer. As Marcus opened his mouth to respond, an unexpected truth hung in the air between them, a connection formed by shared grief and unresolved pain. The confrontation was no longer just about capturing a fugitive. It was about understanding the choices that had led them both down twisted paths. As the tension hung thick in the air, Jake took a step closer to Marcus, his heart pounding with a mix of anger and confusion. "Why did you leave?" he pressed again, needing answers that had eluded him for years. Marcus's eyes darkened, and for a moment, it seemed he might turn away. "I had no choice, Jake," Marcus finally replied, his voice low and heavy with emotion. "I was trying to protect you, both of you." The words struck Jake like a physical blow, forcing him to take a step back as memories flooded into his mind. Suddenly, images of their childhood raced through Jake's thoughts. Laughter during carefree days, but also the shadow that loomed over their home, the violence that had torn their family apart. He remembered the night of the fire, whispers about Marcus being involved swirling through the community like a storm. "You were there that night," Jake exclaimed, realization dawning on him. "Yes," Marcus said, looking pained. "I tried to save your family. I thought I could get you out before it all fell apart." The truth hit Jake hard. He had blamed Marcus for so long, convinced he had abandoned them. But now he understood. Marcus had been caught in the same tragedy that had shaped their lives. With this revelation came clarity. Jake realized that his choices, becoming a bounty hunter, chasing shadows, had all stemmed from that one night of loss and betrayal. In facing Marcus, he confronted not just a fugitive but the roots of his own pain and regret. The past was not something he could outrun. It was part of who he was. As Jake stood facing Marcus, the weight of their shared past pressed heavily on him. The revelation that Marcus had not abandoned him but had tried to save his family changed everything. Now, Jake faced the most difficult decision of his life. Capture Marcus and continue his relentless pursuit as a bounty hunter, or help him escape the shackles of his fugitive status and find a way to redeem himself. The flickering light overhead cast shadows on the walls, mirroring the turmoil inside Jake. He had spent years chasing criminals, believing that justice meant bringing them in, but now he questioned whether true justice lay in understanding and mercy. Marcus's eyes held a glimmer of hope mixed with fear. He wanted a second chance, not just for himself, but for the boyhood friendship they once shared. "I can't go back to that life," Marcus pleaded, a raw desperation in his voice. "I'm not the same person I was. I've changed. Let me prove it to you." Jake felt the familiar pull of vengeance battling against an emerging compassion. He thought of all the pain he had endured over the years and how it had molded him into who he was. In that moment, Jake realized that capturing Marcus would only prolong their suffering. Instead, he could help him find a path to redemption, a chance to heal the wounds they both carried. Taking a deep breath, Jake took a step back from hostility and extended his hand toward Marcus, offering not just an escape but a new beginning for both of them. Just as Jake extended his hand to Marcus, the sudden sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the warehouse, shattering their moment of reconciliation. The tension snapped back into place as menacing figures emerged from the shadows, members of a gang that Marcus had crossed in his desperate attempt to escape his past. The air crackled with danger, and Jake quickly realized that their confrontation had only just begun. "Run!" Jake shouted to Marcus, the urgency of the situation propelling him into action. They both dashed behind a stack of crates just as gunfire rang out, splintering wood and sending debris flying. Adrenaline surged through Jake's veins as he instinctively reached for his weapon, heart pounding with the weight of the moment. He wasn't just protecting himself. He was also safeguarding Marcus, the very man he'd been hunting. "Stay close," Jake called out as they maneuvered through the maze of boxes, dodging bullets and returning fire when necessary. His instincts kicked in, guiding him as he assessed their surroundings, searching for an escape route. Marcus glanced over at Jake, fear and determination etched on his face. "I never wanted this life," he shouted amidst the chaos. "We can stop them together." Jake felt a rush of unexpected camaraderie with Marcus, fueled by their shared goal. "Then let's do it." Together, they launched a counterattack, a synchrony born from desperation and newfound trust. As they fought against their common enemy, Jake realized that this battle was not just for survival. It was a final stand against the shadows that had haunted them both for too long. After the dust settled and the sounds of chaos faded, Jake found himself sitting on a worn-out crate outside the warehouse, breathing heavily as he tried to process everything that had transpired. Marcus had managed to escape with Lily's help, and the gang had retreated for now. In that moment of calm, Jake reflected on his journey from relentless bounty hunter to someone who had discovered the importance of understanding his past. He looked out at the city skyline bathed in the golden light of sunset, feeling an unfamiliar sense of peace washing over him. The shadows that once felt suffocating started to lift as he thought about how far he had come. Gone were the days when vengeance clouded his judgment. There was clarity now. Helping Marcus escape wasn't just an act of mercy. It was a reflection of Jake's own desire for redemption. He recalled their intense confrontation and the revelations that had laid bare their shared history. Jake realized that pursuing criminals would always be part of who he was, but it was equally important to acknowledge what shaped him. His grief, anger, and ultimately his compassion were all threads in the complex fabric of his life. As darkness began to envelop the city, Jake made a vow to honor his past by living with purpose. He understood now that true strength came not just from chasing shadows but from embracing them and using those experiences to forge a better path forward. Not just for himself but for others like Marcus who deserved a second chance at life. With renewed resolve, he stood up and set off into the night, ready for whatever awaited him next.